everybody. Welcome to episode 192 of the Dedicated to Disneyland Paris podcast. I am your host, Beth. And somewhere on the other end is my co-host, Mark. Yes, Mark. Hey.
I'm sorry. Yes, hi. Hello, everyone.
Okay, great. Yeah, good. Glad you could join us. Is everything okay? You look a bit flustered.
Yes, all good. I just, got some exciting news, but I'll tell you about that after the recording, Beth.
Well, I mean, we're among friends here. You can tell us.
All in good time. Maybe on the next episode. What is happening in the world of Disney today?
Okay, how about Succession?
Oh, is that on Disney Plus
No,
now?
Disney Succession. Bob Iger said that his working assumption is he's going to step down as CEO by 2026. So this week, Hollywood Reporter got wind of the 4 names of executives floated as possible heirs to the Disney kingdom.
Or Queendom.
Oh, better yet, yes, Magic Queendom.
So, who are they?
Okay, we have Josh D'Amaro, head of theme parks. He should be known to most of us, especially if you remember him as president of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Then Dana Walden, head of Disney's television division, or co-chair of entertainment, as they like to call it. Yes. She oversees all of Disney's media businesses, ABC, Hulu, FX, Disney channels, Fox Television, and of course Disney Plus.
So I was 1/4 right there. And the other 2?
Okay, there's the head of Disney's movie unit, Alan Bergman, and the person running ESPN, Disney's highly successful cable sports entity, which also is in the moves towards streaming.
Mm-hmm. And who's most likely to get the top job?
Oh, it's anybody's game. Real question is, who do we DLP fans fancy the most?
Can I still nominate Carmen?
Too soon, buddy. But if we're doing fantasy executives, I'm voting for Len Testa.
That's a good one. He knows his business. I think the most seriously observed at the moment it's like between Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden, because they seem to be the closest to the creatives. And Bob Iger has kind of said that he wants to put the decision making back in the hands of the creatives. Hold on a minute. Did you hear about Joe Rohde, that he was going to become a Disney legend? He's going to get elevated to that status now. Maybe he's coming back and he's going to be taking over?
I have seen that. And talk about creatives. I mean, he has just been a juggernaut in Disney's Animal Kingdom over in Florida. He has done amazing things. He's such a original creator, such vision.
So for those who don't know, I mean, he's the one who came up with and developed the Pandora floating islands concept, and the whole land basically is Animal Kingdom, and people basically they're following him still now. He left a couple of years ago because people say that he fell out with the direction that Disney was going in under Bob Chapek. But yeah, he's always posting about the ideas about Imagineering and how it's rooted in cultures that it's amazing what he posts. So give him a follow. Very interesting man there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's not in the running at the moment. But as we said, Josh D'Amaro, head of theme parks, is very well known. Obviously,
to be honest, I mean, he seems most likely to me, but I don't know.
As DLP fans, I think, we would like somebody who's been head of the parks to take over. But then again, not everybody at Walt Disney World has been happy with him for one reason or the other. And Dana Walden is the only female on this list. But of course, in television, people have been saying that all the money that they've been putting into Disney Plus, that's what's been taken away from theme parks or making theme parks more expensive because they had to fund the whole Disney Plus venture.
The theme parks have been very profitable, but they've had to be bleeding them to keep these streaming services going.
Exactly. And we don't know where those streaming wars are going, because something's got to give at some point. Nobody is even touching Netflix and the amount of subscribers that they have. And Netflix is just throwing all their IP at this, and sometimes it's successful and other times it's Marvel. And we just have to find out, where it's going. So it's going to be interesting to see. And of course, they have this investor vote coming up, this shareholder vote coming up on April 3rd, where there's this, proxy vote, as they call it, and not rogue investors, but this whole area of Nelson Peltz, who's trying to get onto the board of Disney, and he's trying to whip up support for his ideal and trying to get Bob Iger off the board. It's like an episode of Succession, basically.
Exactly.
So, yes, if you want to have a bit of an idea of what goes on behind the scenes at the Walt Disney Company, well, yeah, it's not completely Succession, but there's intrigue. There's intrigue there.
Yeah, for people that want to know how the theme park sausage is made, they can have a look in the butcher shop.
Yeah, that's also an analogy.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
Right.
All right. Well, that was the corporate news. Now let's go to the interesting news. And here's the news jingle. If I can find it. There it is.
Okay.
We're still getting used to the technology right here.
Exactly. Okay, folks, DLP has released the first images of characters and posters for Alice and the Queen of Hearts Back to Wonderland. We see Alice, the Queen of Hearts, the Mad Hatter, a BMX biker, and what looks like a life-size Momrath. They're supposed to be these sort of flower-like creatures that first appeared in the Jabberwocky poem by Lewis Carroll in 1871, and then in the Disney animated movie of Alice in Wonderland in 1951. The images were accompanied by a short press release which says, and I quote, "See Wonderland through a whole new looking glass. Join Alice, the Queen of Hearts, and other beloved characters as they return to Wonderland in an electrifying new show in Walt Disney Studios Park. Discover a Wonderland like no other, an electrifying battle of the bands." Okay. Feel the energy in a supercharged pop and rock face-off between Alice and the Queen of Hearts. Acrobats and BMX riders defy the laws of gravity with their limit-pushing, high-flying tricks. Choose from two endings. Who wins the showdown? Help the Mad Hatter stage the ending of your choice. The more the merrier in this wacky show. Head to the Theater of the Stars outdoor arena in Walt Disney Studios Park, where everyone's invited to come together and have a merry mad time, starting spring this year.
I think they should hire you as a voiceover artist.
Thank you. I really put my whole heart into that. I'm so excited about this show.
Yes, in that definitely not AI written piece of literature.
No, just there. Because it said electrifying like 3 times. No, that's not a word AI would use.
But it's interesting that it's the old arena where they had stunts, motors, action.
Yeah.
And they're calling it now the Theater of the Stars. So we have a new venue name. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. And then it's kind of more multi-purpose whenever they want to change the shows.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to have a look.
In other news, Discoveryland Theater, the theater there in Discoveryland, the one that houses Mickey Philharmagique, is closed for renovation until April 12th. In related news, the Together musical at Walt Disney Studios will also stop for 2 days on April 11th and 12th. Are they related?
Dun, dun, dun. Disney will be making a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Yay! That's right, the adorable baby Grogu's heading to the big screen. The co-creator of the TV series, Jon Favreau, will be directing the new Star Wars movie titled The Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, calling it that for the moment, that's kind of a basic name, but it's got to have a working title. Yeah. Anyway, it'll go into production later this year. It's not exactly been made clear how this is going to fit into the whole timeline of the live action series. which has aired 3 seasons and is currently developing the 4th. But we've no doubt this will spur yet another wave of the popular Mando and Grogu merchandise, and maybe even create a permanent theme park home for the 2 wanderers at the edges of our galaxies.
Ooh. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Talking about merch, there's a few new items to add to your May Want list. A Kevin and Jody porcelain reproduction of the Phantom Manor Station Master, a limited edition of 800 at, wait for it, 159 euros.
Oh, that's all great.
That's how you come out of Phantom Manor with that kind of reaction.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
And it's obviously available in that area. What's it called? The Mercantile Building at Frontierland.
Right.
A limited edition Flight Force collectible key worth 29 euros is also out in an edition of, I think, 2022.
Oh, okay.
And finally, Arribas is actually reintroducing the time-honored craft of silhouetting at DLP.
Yeah, that's nice.
An artist will impress you with their incredible ability to capture your head in a frame of your choice. That sounds like it should be at Phantom Manor as well. They'll be on Market Street near the Main Street Motors Boutique in Disneyland Park. So, Beth, would you like an encontour with your profile? And I think we have an inkling that this will be very popular without a shadow of a doubt.
If it's adorable. I'm not sure I want my own face in one, but if I had my 4 children there or one of the teenagers I love taking to the parks, I think that is an adorable souvenir, and it's such a throwback to the original Disneyland in Anaheim and to the past of our park. Amazing.
Exactly. And I'm assuming that they will be using some form of modern technology to have these printed out eventually, because you can't have one person making all of these silhouettes,
cutting them out. Yeah,
queues. But yeah, we'll just have to see when that starts, how that works out. But it's a nice little thing, and you can get your silhouette with Mickey or your silhouette with the Disneyland Paris castle, in a frame. So if you have that kind of interior, why not? Sounds good. And that was the news. So now we're going to have Love Our Listeners coming up. But do you know what I love just as much as that segment?
Tell me, Mark, what?
A good night's sleep.
So important for good health.
Yeah. And, I really want it to be somewhere where I can relax after a long day, let's say somewhere near Disneyland Paris, and that it's not only spotlessly clean and spacious, but also affordable.
So you have somewhere in mind where there's like plenty of room for friends and family to really spread out, comfortable beds to sleep in, like you said, perfect hygiene, well managed, convenient to the parks. What could you be thinking of, Mark?
It just so turns out that our sponsor today has all of those that you're talking about. And we will be talking, of course, about NC Conciergerie. You've heard us talking about them before on this program. They're basically a company that has a portfolio, let's say, of apartments in and around, well, not in Disneyland Paris, obviously, but in and around Ceris, which is the municipality right adjacent to Disneyland Paris. And in fact, we've stayed at a couple of places, and the last place that we stayed was extremely nice. Vanessa has also stayed there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Most of them are, I'd say, within walking distance. You can also choose on the map, of course, where you want to stay. Garage is usually provided, or at least a parking space in front of the building where the apartments are available. And I have not had a bad experience with them at all. So I'd say, if you're considering going to Disneyland Paris and either do not want to stay in one of the Disneyland hotels or would rather be closer to, what is the huge shopping mall there called?
Val d'Europe.
Val d'Europe, exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to be closer to Val d'Europe and, you're staying for a few days longer and one of them, you're not going to go in the parks and want to do some shopping or, visit the surrounding area, I would definitely consider stay there.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're somebody who has gone off of Airbnb, this is a different experience. These are brand spanking new apartments managed by a professional team. There's no weirdness. There's no extra bizarre hidden charges. We had a very nice guy interfacing with us, Nicolas, so professional. They're right on time, took care of everything if there was ever a problem. It's really the sweet spot. You're not in any kind of weird, sketchy situation, but you're not all crammed into a hotel room. Perfect solution.
Exactly. And the kids always have a possibility in most of the apartments that I've seen that there's like bunk beds and roomy ones as well. So not just, the single bunk bed. No, this is like a double bed on the bottom and quite a large one on the top. And some of their apartments are even Disney themed, or at least, a little bit more magic. Mm-hmm. But in general, very tasteful, very nice design. And as I said, always clean. So, yeah, if you want, if you're interested, you can check them out on Instagram at NC Conciergerie. That's NCCONCIERGERIE. You can play that slowly if you want. And tell them that we sent you.
Yes. Sorry. Okay.
All right. Now, what is it time for?
I think it's time for another edition of Love Our Listeners.
Let's go.
Easy listening for the easy listeners.
Hey friends, here we all are once again, cozy together in the Love Our Listeners corner, ready for story time. And our D to DLP community has plenty of material for us this time around. So snuggle up in your favorite Disney themed cozy blanket and get ready for this.
First up, we have a bit of news from our fellow fan from the USA, Alexandra. She wrote us a quick update while she was recently visiting DLP. We hope to get a full report from her as soon as she has gotten back home and recovered from the jet lag. So here we go. Hello, I'm the listener that won a trip to DLP. Remember that, guys? And emailed you with several questions. Thanks for your answers to my questions, as they have helped tremendously. We have been having the best time. So they've been there already. And that's from Alexandra. So
yeah,
a short missive, but it's so nice to hear that, the answers that we gave to her questions were helpful.
Yeah, that was so nice of her just to give us a tiny bit of feedback. This was a couple of episodes. I think we answered her questions about her stay at Hotel New York, I believe. Yeah. And it seems like she took advantage of her time, and hopefully very soon we'll be hearing from her about how it all went.
That reminds me, do you remember that trip that some French Inside Ears influencers were going to make to Walt Disney World?
Oh, yeah, that Walt Disney World escapade.
Did that happen?
I mean, I don't think so. I certainly didn't see anything on the social media, and you think that would have been bombarded. Maybe it's a bit later this spring?
Maybe they put it off to a later date.
Yeah.
Well, they should get in touch with Alexandra.
Exactly.
She's a Walt Disney World.
She knows her way around that park.
Yeah, exactly. Aficionado.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a trip report from friend of the show and fellow Fort Comstock appreciator Kim. Ooh. She has a bit of interesting plot twist in this story. Oh. So everybody get ready. Hi, Beth. Well, gosh, did you hear the one about the people going for the Royal Dream experience? They didn't go. Dun, dun, dun. Unfortunately, the morning of our booked RD experience, my daughter, already in her princess dress, firstly announced no one would be fiddling with her hair, followed by some moments later with the outright decision that no face makeup would be necessary because Frozen 2 Elsa has her hair loose and she has no face decorations. Fair point, child. Fair point. I tried various child-friendly methods of persuasion. I love that. But there was no changing her mind. So I gave up, canceled the reservation, and had a great day anyway.
Oh,
I have to say, I applaud that. Roll with the punches. That's the way to have a great Disney vacation.
That's so strange, isn't it? So your kid is telling you, no, nobody's playing with my hair.
That's right. She has boundaries, and we shall all respect them. And exactly. I love that for everybody involved. Yes. And I love that for her pocketbook as well. Good for her. We'll go on to the main body of this then. Okay. A short trip report. As per usual, I booked us a pre-Disney stay over in a nearby hotel. Great hack, by the way. So we could have an early start in the parks. Yes, being Dutch means I try to make the most of my money, so I chose the relatively cheap partner hotel company. At breakfast, my children were cheerily greeted by their mascot, a large walking chicken nugget, according to my son. We were quite satisfied with the hotel. Staff was friendly, nuggets. We slept well, breakfast enjoyable. Again, these children are very observant, because the kid's not wrong.
The chicken nugget is the fox, right?
Is it the...
Yeah, because the other one is green. So...
The other one's green, yeah. The chicken nugget is the fox. The other one is...
Poor mascot.
We don't know. All right. We went to Sequoia Lodge, left our luggage in the car, and checked in. We booked a lodge room. We were offered a change to a room in the main building for an extra 44 euros a night.
Yes.
This sounded tempting to me.
Yes.
Mainly because of Beth's ominous warning of musty smells in the lodge rooms. That was resounding in my head, but we decided to check out the room first that afternoon and switch room if smells were encountered. Oh. Our room in Yellowstone Lodge, however, was fine, and we had a truly lovely stay. The hotel feels cozy and calm, room spacious, and we enjoyed the coffee and tea making amenities. My only slight complaint is the swimming pool was icy cold. Full scuba wetsuit, highly recommended.
That's weird because I remember it being very warm and subtropical, but okay.
It's one of these things. Your mileage may vary, I guess. And I'm glad that she didn't, cry before she was bitten about smells in the room and just said, we're going to check it out and change later if we want to. And I'm glad it turned out good for them.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to hear that she was offered a room in the main building for only 44 euros extra.
That is a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
We really had a great 3-day visit and even some gorgeous weather in February. The parks weren't overcrowded, and though we had to miss out on our beloved Thunder Mountain due to planned maintenance, fun was had by everyone. Highlights: cast members everywhere addressing my daughter in her princess dress as Your Highness. Riding Tower of Terror in the dark. Great views for a very short moment. The door. That.
I was
Seeing Alice
in the dark. Was there power cuts?
The lights. Seeing Alice in the Mad Hatter walking around Fantasyland. Mm-hmm. It's a Small World, looking fresh and colorful. Pym Kitchen Buffet, so good, such fun. Totally agree, yes. And Sequoia Lodge, hotel and grounds, both scents and sounds soothe the soul. There we go. Needless to say, plans for a new trip are already forming in my head. Please keep entertaining me with your witty and informative podcast. Kind regards, Kim from the Netherlands.
Thank you.
So nice. Love it. Love it. That's so kind. I'm so glad that Kim's room was nice and fresh smelling. That was, good thinking to check that. Sniff around a little bit. Check it out.
Well, she didn't say it was fresh smelling. She just said it wasn't musty smelling.
Well, that's true. It was doable. Oh, and I did note here in the script that the chicken nugget's name is Cooper. and that he does look like a chicken nugget, which is an odd choice for a hotel mascot. But children love chicken nuggets. When you think about it, maybe it's kind of like crazy brilliant, huh?
I wonder if they were still available as plushies in the Campanile Hotel shop.
Well, I'm sure that they have not sold out. I haven't seen children walking around lovingly clutching them or anything.
Well, since you stayed there and we actually highlighted these mascots, I would have imagined that they rose to at least D2DLP fame status among our listeners. But I think I can't remember what the other one is called now. Cooper and?
No, I can't remember the green one's name either. I should have put it in my script.
It was a Mikey knockoff. I just one eye.
Yeah, exactly. With the one eye in the middle.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway. No, very nice. Nice letters coming in there.
All right. Well, how about...
we have another one.
Nadine here, right?
Yes. So we just heard from Nederland. Let's head over to Australia for this next bit of feedback from Nadine. Hi, Beth and Mark. I just wanted to send another quick email to thank you for all your answers on the podcast. I've listened to it several times already and have made quite a few notes. So thank you. I will also have to send you a trip report when we get back. There's only 18 days to go until our trip. And I think we are as ready as we will ever be. Thanks, Nadine.
Aw, that's so nice.
And there's a whole trip from Australia to get to Paris. That's like at least a day and a bit, probably with a stopover in Dubai or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a bit of jet lag involved there, I think. That's interesting.
And this is quite a big group too, so they're going to be juggling quite a lot. And I hope Nadine will be down to give us a very detailed trip report, because it's going to be an epic trip for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Well, so far it's been all words of praise and fun trip details, but now we're back to that hardcore nitty-gritty bit of the podcast where we answer questions for first-timers who want to make the most of their time at DLP. So, you ready there, buddy Mark? Yeah?
Well, we attempt to answer questions, but yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, we do our best. We always get it right in the end. All right, this is for the two of us.
Episodes, yes.
Yeah. Well. Okay, Beth and Mark, I just finished listening to your latest podcast, Somewhere in Europe. Where and how can I purchase the preferred viewing area I heard you talking about? I believe you said it was €19. My wife and I are going to be visiting DLP at the end of April. Also, being veterans of WDW, we've learned to rope drop in the morning, then take a midday break. I've heard you and others say it's not necessary to attack Paris the same way we do in Walt Disney World. However, I'm sure we'll still be rope dropping. It's just in our blood at this point.
Once a rope dropper, always a rope dropper.
Exactly. You can't beat it out of them with a stick. In each park, what are the top 3 rides to rope drop to save us the most time later on in the day? Thank you, and keep up the great work with the podcast. You've been a great resource for our trip, Don. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I am glad that Don and his wife will be here soon, and we're very happy to help.
So, the reserved viewing area, I believe, starts at the end of April, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, because we'd originally been giving a date for March 28th.
Oh, that's my mistake then. Yes, you are absolutely right. So,
all right.
Preferred viewing area experience will be bookable starting March 28th.
Okay.
And that'll be through the Disneyland Paris app. Yes. So that is all that DLP has told us for the moment, despite the fact that Beth often sends plaintive requests for information to Inside Ears news office.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, right? It's kind of a hobby of mine. What can I say?
Instead of sending them cease and desist, you're sending them do something.
He's a begging.
Freedom of information request. Yes, so our best advice is for you to download the app and give it a go on March 28th, from that point, since you're going in April. You may be able to reserve already for your upcoming trip. And our second bit of advice is to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. As soon as we get word on how the new system is working, we will get the word out to our followers. Now, I think that Don had a second question, right?
Well, right. He wants to know what to prioritize at rope drop.
Well, rope drop at Walt Disney Studios can mean only one thing, and especially for thrill ride fans.
That is right. It's got to be Crush's Coaster, absolute priority in this scenario, right? It's an attraction totally unique to DLP, and it's a very slow loader. And later on in the day, those wait times can get up to an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours. So yeah, we'd say get there plenty early as the crowd does build up, and you don't want to be at the tail end of the crowd. You're going to want to hustle right on into that park real quick, give it a right turn and get on into that Crush queue. Just have some earplugs or something ready for the indoor part of the queue.
The seagull animatronics are a bit annoying, but surely not to that point.
I mean, you're probably right, but I mean, it's sort of crossed my mind. They're mildly annoying, yeah. Luckily, I think that queue moves pretty quick in the morning, and downtimes are less likely that early in the morning. And then for after, I'd say maybe get over to Ratatouille, and then possibly Tower of Terror. Would you concur with me on that, Mark?
If those are open, yes, because that's also something that you have to check. Not all attractions are always open for
not at all.
Magic time. Or is it rope drop is the opening time that comes after extra magic time, correct?
Well, that's
or
debatable.
There 2 rope drops?
There's 2 rope drops. I was assuming that our friends were staying in a Disney hotel and that they would have access to the extra magic time. All right. This means the park opens to the general public at 9:30 in the morning, but hotel guests of Disney hotels can get in at 8:30 in the morning to either of these parks. Now, I'm hoping our friends are Disneyland Paris hotel guests, and they will be able to profit from an early magic time rope drop. That is the best way to get those attractions knocked out quickly and get some of the other perks that will come with getting in there early. The crowds for the actual park rope drop at 9:30 are much larger. And so, but if you're staying off site, that is your only option. And I would just say get there in plenty of time, an hour before the park opens, be near the front of the crowd. But still at that point, you've got everybody from the hotels who've already been in there for an hour.
They divide the people who have extra magic time access from those who are already queuing up an hour beforehand, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you have to show your hotel credentials in order to get through into the park. So they keep those separate, yeah.
We're still waiting for Disneyland Paris to introduce magic bands or something like that, which they have in Walt Disney World. But that hasn't appeared yet. And of course, there is no rope. It's turnstiles going open. So it's just how you call it. It used to be a rope. But back in
Walt Disney's
days,
in the old days,
they used to drop the rope and people could walk in.
Yeah.
But now it's style turn.
Exactly. It's our special DLP lingo for getting into the park right when it opens.
But yes, for sure, Crush's Coaster is a priority. But I do feel that Marvel fans might want to make Flight Force their next stop, followed by Web Slinger.
Yeah, I mean, as you said before, you have to see what attractions are open. You can go on to the Disneyland Paris site, and they give a whole long list of rides that may be available during the extra magic time. But in all reality, I don't think I've ever seen a morning where all of those were up and running. It's quite a long list, but usually a good portion of them can be running. And so you kind of have to be quick on your feet and make your plans according to what is marked as open on that day.
We have
so
seen the
we've
opposites. We have seen the opposite, so that not that all attractions that are supposed to be open are open, but that all attractions are actually closed. Or at least one or two are open, but yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, here's something I don't think there's any controversy about it, because there's no two ways to rope drop the castle part. You know, it's got to be Big Thunder Mountain, right? And Phantom Manor right after. And just, you know, stay in Frontierland, nice and easy. And then you have plenty of time to get over to that churros cart and wander around in the epic Wonderland that is Fort Comstock.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes, Fort Comstock, excellent advice to use extra magic time to eat churros at Fort Comstock. I concur completely with that. Don.
All right.
Don, ignore her. Do not use EMT on Fort Comstock. Go to Space Mountain instead. And here's another thought. The photographer in me compels me to point out that rope drop can also be used to get those great photos of an almost empty Main Street and castle. Might be worth getting in early there twice, once for the rides and once for the photos and character meets as well.
Okay, so that would put us ideally 3 days at DLP then. One morning to get things knocked out in studios, and then other mornings prioritizing Castle Park attractions and photos. I guess if you only have 1 day, I'd use that morning bit on Crush, because you shouldn't really go to DLP and miss that.
Yes, and most people do go to the Disneyland Park, the Castle Park, first in the morning. So that's a good opportunity to use that. But people who know, they will go to Crush's Coaster, because that is the one attraction that has the longest queue all day long, except a little bit towards the end of the day. And even if the app says that it has a long queue, you might actually find that it doesn't. So definitely go there.
Yeah, that is a hot tip not to forget, just to go check. If you weren't able to knock that out earlier in the day and you aren't going to have a chance to EMT that, do as Mark says, and when that park is getting ready to close, which closes well before the Castle Park, just have a little look over there and you might be pleasantly surprised and be able to get on.
But you know what? We like to just sometimes go into the park early and just sit on Main Street and have a hot chocolate and, you know, something from the bakery there. You don't have to force yourself to get onto the attractions, because early morning at Disneyland Paris, especially springtime, is very nice. It's kind of peaceful as well. Of course, after everybody has rushed to run to the attractions. But you can use that time also if you're staying more than 2 or 3 days, just to take it all in the morning, the morning atmosphere. It's really nice, especially in Adventureland. Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting for these Walt Disney World veterans to get a real taste of the laid-back vibe you can really get sometimes at Disneyland Paris. Yeah, but that's a good advice. I guess mine would be, don't be lured by that ultimate premium access pass on the app, but when wait times are looking a little high and you want to get onto something, go ahead and check your app and see how much the individual Premier access costs.
Yes.
There's only the 2 of you, and it could really be well worth just paying that little bit of money, €8 each, €10 each, and just being able to walk on Web Slinger or Big Thunder Mountain or whatever you would like to be on. That's a harder sell when you've got a big family with you. But if it's just you alone or 2 people together, I think that Premier Access is kind of a secret weapon.
And again, don't go by the times listed on the app. Go to the attraction itself, check to see if in fact, yes, it has a really, really long queue and a long wait time.
Yeah.
And then you're like in front of the Big Thunder Mountain or whatever, and choose to get that premiere access for just that ride at that time.
Exactly. Well, I think we did a good job of covering that. So I think we'll just thank everybody who wrote to us on this episode. And you know what? We'd like to hear from you. Yeah, you there, buddy. I bet you've got a question about DLP or some kind of cool park experience that you would like to share with us. Maybe you've got an idea of how we could improve this show, or you think it is perfect and you're going to let us know. So collect your thoughts and put them in a message and send them on to us at dlp@dedicatedtodlp.com, because we'd love to hear from you.
You know, Beth, that was such a lovely and lengthy lull segment. I think it's a perfect ending to this episode. I have nothing to add to it for this episode because, as I said, we're looking ahead a little bit.
Right.
There are things happening. I can say that, for example, on the 12th of April at Disneyland Paris, cast members and Inside Ears members will be invited to get some updates, finally, on what is about to happen in the future. So stay tuned, everybody, because we might have some information even before that time. But you'll just have to download our episodes as soon as they drop, because that's when the information comes out first. And in the meantime, just check us out on Instagram, or what's that other one? Facebook? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I don't know what's going on over there.
It's crazy. It's
exploding.
Chaos. Oh, so if you want to comment and want to feel part of the community, that's where it's happening, on the D2DLP Facebook page. Vanessa is very happily moderating that, so please don't go crazy with comments, because she needs some downtime as well.
Don't say that. She loves it. She lives for these comments.
She does. Absolutely.
And everybody can get their Disney fix. If you want to talk about anything DLP, just go over there. There is always some chat going on.
Absolutely.
And it is well moderated by our dear friend.
Yep. So I think that's it from us.
All right, then. Well, why don't you get us out of here then, Mark?
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So, thanks to everybody for listening to the D2DLP podcast. You know that you can subscribe to the show on all podcatchers, and these invariably include Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, if that still even exists. Personally, I use Overcast, which is also a great one. And there are many more that you can find. I think Dogcatcher is one as well, even though I still believe that.
My favorite.
Yeah, it's not real. Anyway, feel free to rate and review the show, and it helps other people find us. You can also follow our posts on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. And you can also view our podcasts on YouTube. Send any private requests, questions, or trip reviews to dlp@dedicatedtodlp.com, and check out our website, www.dedicatedtodlp.com. I made it. Goodbye.
Bye.